On today's video, we're taking it back to the good old days with a list of things that baby boomers will fondly remember. From playing with classic toys to visiting old school restaurants, this generation grew up in a totally different era. Kicking things off, we have taking a literal written note from your parents to the corner store in order to buy cigarettes. It's hard to fathom nowadays, but up until the late 1980s, most stores didn't ID for tobacco purchases. So as a kid, it was perfectly normal to hand Mr. Johnson behind the counter that handwritten note your mom gave you, asking for her usual cigarette brand. After giving him the dollar that mom gave you and receiving your change, you promptly returned home. Renting big home appliances and electronics was commonplace since most families couldn't afford large purchases outright. Giant wooden console TVs, the newest record players, even furniture. Everything was available to rent to own from local dealerships. You made monthly payments and the items were repossessed if you missed one. Talk about motivation to get those payments in on time. Next, we have the lost art of envelope moistening, aka licking stamps. Before self-adhesive stamps became popular in the 1990s, putting a letter in the mail required getting up close and personal with the stamp glue itself. You'd peel off however many 5 or 10 cent stamps needed, careful not to rip the perforated edges. Then came the wettening, a quick flick of the tongue across the glue, trying not to grimace at the bitter taste. Too short a lick and you risk the stamp falling off mid-transit. Too much saliva and you'd end up with a warped, wrinkled mess. It took skill and concentration to execute a perfect stamp lick. But for those of us who grew up in the pre-adhesive era, stamp licking was a tongue-numbing, bitter-tasting rite of passage. Just thinking about it makes me parched for a glass of water. Bleh. No doubt folks were glad when self-stick stamps hit the scene. Progress. Really takes baby boomers back is Tinker Toys. First introduced in the 1920s, Tinker Toys became an iconic toy for generations of kids across America. Each set came packed in a slender red tube, just waiting to be dumped out and transformed into wondrous creations. The basic components were simple: colorful wooden spools and sticks of various sizes that could be arranged and rearranged in endless combinations. Snap a few short sticks into a blue spool hub, and you had a basic wheel. Connect a red rod using wooden split hubs and wheels on both ends, and now it was an axle. The white plastic connectors allowed multi-layered frameworks perfect for builds like windmills with spinning blades. And who could forget the iconic Tinker Toy people, brought to life sticking straight pins into the spools for impromptu arms and legs. Tinker Toys inspired creative, open-ended playtime that's hard to replicate in today's digital world. And for baby boomers, spying that classic red tube at a thrift shop is sure to spark fond build-a-thon memories. Next, we have Burger Chef, a vintage fast food chain that was a staple for the baby boomer generation. The first restaurant opened in Indianapolis in 1958, and they soon expanded across the Midwest and beyond. Their signature Works Bar concept let you customize your double-decker burger with toppings like lettuce, tomato, pickles, ketchup, and more. By the 1970s, Burger Chef was the nation's second largest burger chain behind only McDonald's, with over 1,200 red-roofed restaurants from New York out to California. Their cartoon mascots, Jeff and Jane, brought kids joy with toys, games, and ads, showcasing Burger Chef families living all-American lives filled with baseball games and neighborhood cookouts. For baby boomers, those classic wrappers and drink cups covered in cartoon chefs and animated burgers are pure nostalgia. Burger Chef started to decline in the early 80s, and their last remaining restaurants were sold off to Hardee's and other competitors by 1996. Burger Chef may live on mostly in memory now, but they serve up iconic fast food memories. Next, we have the heyday of daytime soap operas that so many boomers and pre-boomers watched religiously. Iconic soaps like General Hospital, Guiding Light, and Search for Tomorrow track the ever-complicated lives of their characters for decades on end. Tuning in daily was non-negotiable, as fans needed to know if Dr. Rick Webber had survived his plane crash on GH, or what schemes the villainous Roger Thorpe was plotting lately on Guiding Light. The budgets were tiny, but the drama was always turned up to 11. No plot was too crazy. Amnesia diagnoses, evil twins, people returning from the dead, time travel, you name it. And the commercial breaks were just time to quickly discuss scandalous developments with your mom, grandmother, and all her friends. Storylines moved in the signature slow burn daytime style too, taking sometimes upwards of a year before a couple finally tied the knot or a baby was born. While a few stalwarts like Days of Our Lives still air today, that era of must-see daily daytime drama sadly faded out as more women entered office jobs. So hearing those iconic theme songs transports us right back to bonding over gasp-worthy soap opera moments across generations. Tune in tomorrow. Next up, we have the once ubiquitous cigarette vending machines that sold smokes by the pack to anyone with some spare change. They sat right out in the open in locations like bowling alleys, restaurants, pool halls, offices, and more. Pop in 45 cents for your favorite brand, no ID required. It seems crazy compared to today's tightly regulated tobacco sales, but back in the 50s and 60s, health concerns about smoking weren't top of mind. So vending sales boomed, and specialty manufacturers like Stoner, Aztec, and You Select It cranked out machines for locales across the country. The glowing logos and colorful decals advertising drinks or snacks alongside cigarettes made brand choice feel like an exciting game. For teens trying to look mature and rebellious, lighting up a pack scored via vending machine felt like a definite grown-up move. And the novelty didn't diminish easily. It always felt subtly transgressive to make a vice purchase from an emotionless machine rather than a human cashier. But public awareness of smoking's addiction risks and links to lung cancer rose through the 60s and 70s, leading cigarette ads to get banned from TV in '71. Yet vending machines continued dispensing cancer sticks to minors with zero oversight well into the 80s and 90s until finally tightening regulations squeezed the channel. Well, those are some more of my top things only baby boomers will remember. Feel free to comment below and share any other nostalgic memories you have from the early days. Be sure to subscribe for more nostalgic content, and as always, thank you for watching.